Yes, we thank you for staying tuned. Our first conversation on the program today is on assessing the ambassadorial designation list as released by the presidency. And, after years of having vacuum in our foreign missions, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu eventually approved and posted career and non-career diplomats to our foreign mission. Of course, they were screened by the Senate, and many Nigerians were expecting Mr. President to have done the posting before now. With few months left for the current administration, what are the implications of this delay vis-a-vis the quality and the caliber of men and women that have been appointed as our brand ambassadors abroad? We have joining us this morning, Mr. Akin Fatunde is the MD CEO, Chronicler Associates and Communication Consultants, and together we'll be looking at this list and of course on the quality of men and men who have been appointed as ambassadors and High Commissioner by Mr. President. It's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Jibola and your Bimbo.
Thank you.
Okay, looking at the names of these men and women and their pedigree, what do you think Mr. President must have considered before appointing these people to go and be brand ambassadors in our foreign missions?
I think it's only clear and fair to say that after the initial crawl and slow walk, a lot, this is an assumption, and I think it's a reasonable assumption, a lot will have been put in store to ensuring that our best foot are put forward. I am not a member of government, but I can authoritatively say that some of the ambassadorial designates earn their stripes. The very first that I will like to mention in terms of, since we can't mention all, it will be the non-career ambassadorial designates to the United Nations.
Okay.
Jimoh Ibrahim is everything and perhaps nothing, depending on what side of the fence you sit. But I followed the gentleman from my days in oil and gas because I know he tried to cut his teeth in that sector. We fought, we agreed to disagree. When I say we fought, I'm talking about between Jimoh Ibrahim and the business conglomerate that he represented, and of course we back as oil majors. But since then, I have seen that his foray into politics has come armed to the teeth with some level of what I'll call academic risorgimento. Risorgimento means you are not there, but you suddenly woke up and you didn't have it and you had it. I would like to draw very quick inference to a World Bank rally that happened lately. And Jimoh Ibrahim, we must have read it, stood up to the World Bank SAR and said, look, for us in Africa, it has to be homegrown and it has to be not you talking down at us, but let's talk as partners. I thought that was some measure of confidence. And I remember the World Bank SAR, not exactly, but I think I could see element from her to say, okay, sorry, we really don't mean it from that angle.
Right.
No. He is a non-career. I also feel that Senator Ita Enang, being the designate to
South
Africa, looks to me that he will be able to go there and reinvigorate the Malema fervor that we see in these parts of the world. We may be getting there later, but I see a situation whereby career and non-career, we may look at the skill, yes, one expected, it has always been for quite a while, that you expect more of a slant to non-career diplomats. But we have about 47, close to about 48% of career diplomats going out there to go represent us. I am enthused, and I believe that somebody in the mold of Dambazau, who should be looking at our interest in China, tries to balance politics.
And politics.
And I will also not be shy to look straight in the eyes at Mr. President that I knew, I suspected that you are going to be doing what you call political patronage. All presidents do one way or the other. The likes of Ikpeazu going to France, the likes, sorry, going to Spain, the likes of Fanika Ode going to Germany, perhaps he's paid his dues, we like him or not like him. The likes of Rhino going to Mexico, and who clearly has said, you know, that as far as he's concerned, that Mr. President is a major forgiver. I also feel that recognizing women in this dispensation, Mr. Jimobi again, to Austria, I foresee situations where I am not too sure, but for this type of president that we have, for him to now say, look, you may still be a PhD student in view. You may be a young lady, but I'm going to give you the chance to go represent us in a place like Israel, of all places.
I was coming to Nkechi Ufochukwu, looking at her, you know, biography. She is a lawyer, and of course, she especially a corporate law specialist. And then going to Israel, I mean, like you've mentioned, to Tel Aviv, especially now that, you know, there is that issue in the Middle East with the war between Israel, the US, Iran, and then one is thinking at this particular point in time with this lady that you've just mentioned, her name Nkechi Ufochukwu, do you see her balancing the interest of Nigeria, especially when it comes to diplomatic presence, diplomatic issues, and also ensuring that the rights and the chances of Nigeria on the international scene is actually protected?
Very good question. Also, very reasonable fear you have expressed. You have expressed there, but then at the same time, knowing fully well in corporate affairs communication, there are certain things you want to put across, and there are certain risks you want to take.
Okay.
I also feel what you felt, albeit that Nkechi has been quasi, both in government as an advisor to the former technology and innovation minister, giving some kind of bespoke advice. I also see that Nkechi has also paid her dues. She's a managing director to 2 bespoke outfits, all there in Abuja. And haven't reached that stage, I'm also enthused by a young person, whether male or female, who has decided that I am still not up there, but I can still get my my cup half full. Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, take it, leave it, like it or not like it, has been, in my honest opinion, a person I will call a veritable risk taker. He takes the risks, he absorbs the darts, and gives it to you and says, you go prove yourself. Do I feel, therefore, that Nkechi also will be able to deliver based on what I had seen in human capacity development of this president, perhaps going out of sync, listening to people who bring you know, request or what do you call it now, advice to him, he will say, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to give it to you. You go prove that not only is it that you can do it, there are people of scale in that ministry. If you are humble enough and you can go with such humility to learn, put square pegs in square holes, I think, in my honest opinion, that Madam Nkechi will now see it as a challenge. They think I am going to fail.
Right.
No, I'm not going to fail.
To spur her
I am going to get spurred to do the right thing. Clear departure from what we had at one point in time, when we had an octogenarian or something, or somebody who was going to represent us out there. My belief is that that balancing one of a young lady to a lady who is still seeking.
Okay, to advance in her career.
And a lady who is looking for a PhD in East London or something, East London University and all that. You know, my professor used to tell me that if you want to get the best out of any human being, go look for somebody whose hands are really full. And I always wondered why. And it's true. You always find a way to try and succeed. And I also think that I don't want to get into the Christian or no Christian thing, somebody of that hue and cry to go balance. Maybe we are going to get there, but maybe I can just talk about that a little bit. A little at what we also saw in a strategic fashion, Mr. President, who has decided at this time and place to appoint a career ambassador to the other side of the Iron Curtain. Talking about Iran, I think his name is Ambassador Sallahu Hamza. Is known as Muhammad Sallahu, who's been a career diplomat for 25 years. And before now, he was in Zambia, he was in Senegal, he was in Burkina Faso. And for good reason, he has, up till about now, the head of mission in Qatar. Now, in Qatar, something is happening in there, and I see a situation where Sallahu will be able to have a handshake with Nwosu on the other side. So as to be able to, yes, that is the way. The balance. That is the way I see things. Hey, Nwosu, my daughter, my friend, and all, and vice versa. Okay, Sallahu, my. You know, there are so many things that happens behind the scene. And I think there are strategic moves to speak not only truth to power back at home, also speak truth to power that are giving us what I call the global shocks that we are seeing. To the extent, anyway, that they are going to be accepted, I foresee a situation where Nigeria has decided to balance. Notwithstanding the timing, it did not come on time. You know, we might have lost ground. It's better late than never. It's better late
than never.
Than be the late.
Than be the late.
Okay, so looking at the list again, how strategic, let me use your word now, some of those career ambassadors who have been posted to African countries. They are the professionals here, but majority of them have been posted to African countries. What's might have been the reason behind this posting? Because one would have expected the core professionals to have been posted to certain countries.
Good point, Ajibola, and I think I hear you. Also, the task of a good leader, to attempt in your risk assessment to do hop, step, and jump. I am aware that in the past 10, 15 years, we've had a lot of human turnover, people who have had to retire, not retired, and that is not trying to put civil service or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in any form of discomfort. The truth of the fact is that succession planning has not worked adequately well. And it was not also helped by what has happened in the past, close to about 16 years, where career diplomats have had to find their way out of civil service because of frustration. I mean, just continue to march on the same spot. I have a couple who are my classmates, and I know how they were frustrated out. Well, okay, they left in frustration. Some, again, died in active service. I foresee a situation where I think Mr. President looked at it and said, unlike Nwosu
And Nkechi?
right, that we're talking about, say, look, try and see how you could cut your teeth like Salau, who was, Burkina Faso, Senegal, Gambia, and all that.
Ambassador.
Get your acts right and learn your ropes before you are targeted out to international scene. My statement here also may be unfair to the point that you have raised, really, and this is where politics trumps merit, situations where there could be, one or two. And in any case, even if you have left the system, for the sake of the kind of continuity that I know that Professor Bolaji Akin and his likes have always preached, we have to look. There's a strategic thing that has to happen, and I need people to find a way to understudy you, one way or the other. Bring them back for a short while, and then you can always change them. To be very frank and to be very fair, since I don't know it all, I think Ajibola's point here will only be fair to agree with you in principle that they may have been shortchanged. And my advice to this set of career ambassadors is to smile, smile, and wait a little while. After all, after marching slow all this while, and international relations has caught up with us, the timing has caught up with us, and all that. And don't forget, one thing that has gone in my opinion, is that the security checks on quite a number of these designates were rigorous. Maybe some of them got caught.
Okay.
Maybe. Okay. So if they got caught, we don't know. There were high-profile people that Mr. President was going to consider until he started getting petitions here and there, and then he had to say, look, for the sake of image of country, let us try and see how we should. I also thought in my heart of hearts that people like Reno Omokri will be sent to an African country. That is my, because I think he would have done so very well. Well, he might have done so better. Does not take away, you may not like him, we say it's political patronage, that Mr. President, in the words of Reno Omokri, is an all-forgiving kind of human being, and he has thanked Mr. President as one of the best things to happen to him in his career. I foresee a situation where he will begin to fly rather than do hop, step, and jump, in my opinion. In my opinion.
Okay, I'm still going to stay just an addendum to what Ajibola asked you, and then perhaps also play the devil's advocate here, looking at the fact that there are more career ambassadors on the continent than to other nations of the world. Could this also be a deliberate action by Mr. President in his wisdom or in his stead, wanting to strengthen regional cooperation on the continent rather than, taking the career ambassadors to other countries than the African continent?
Bimba, I like that. I really like that. You're not speaking like a headmistress. No matter how you want to justify your logic, the headmistress will tell you, yes, it looks nice, but you are not dressed well. Jibola, you have everything that goes on for you and all that, and then your headmistress now comes into the room and says you are not dressed well. You are washed it down. It's psychological. And why I think I like your point is the fact that the geopolitical tension that has happened in the immediate presidency of ECOWAS that Mr.
President
chaired, which was very turbulent, and the fact that we had the Francophone kind
spilling
of
off from the community.
Broke away. There was a need to send fit for purpose people that are career to go woo, in my opinion. Is it Niger? We're already beginning to see, because this guy
Sahel, partnership.
And, Burkina Faso and what have you, they have to be people who can not only speak the language in a manner of same religion, be able to now then say, hey, wait a minute, we mean well. I also foresee a situation where, ahead of what has happened to Iran, that Nigeria had its own fair share of country of particular concern, the Sokoto bombing, the fact that we were left, open. We didn't have the kind of support that we had from late, debut of Chad. And people must have agreed that, look, go send people, not necessarily because they have blood
flowing in their veins, or people who are able to...
people who will be able to now relate back behind the scene to make Africa an Africa-centric. We just spoke about Itai 9. I feel, plus or minus, is going to be a good fit and purpose. So look at who was posted to at least the rival economic bloc that we have with Nigeria, Egypt, and then those in the Sahel regions who will, not necessarily politicians because just took it on. We have to be a career diplomat who has understudied the geopolitical challenges that has happened between those countries and can find a way to heal it. In reality, Bimo, whether it is Chad, whether it is Israel, whether it is Germany, whether it's United Nations, an ambassador is an ambassador, and you should have your scorecard. The smaller your responsibilities, the better. Let it show green as much as possible. Let's show your hands to say that this is what you have been able
to achieve.
Okay. This is how the trans-pipe gas line that, this ECOWAS here or there has not been able to achieve. You'll be able to open up. You will score by far better, in my opinion, than somebody who is in far away Austria. Mrs. Ajumobi. I believe she's going to bring her charm to bear, but these will be measurable things that you can easily achieve by sowing the ECOWAS sub-region, or even if you are not going to be able to sow it back, have a strategic partnership with the breakaways to now then say, blood is thicker than water. Nigeria is making the point, has made the point already, that yes, with our Dangote, we have opened our flanks to help Niger a couple of times, and these are behind the scenes. We may not be speaking the same language, but you know what? If we can do this, know that we're a friendly country, and we'll make sure that we can build together, lest we fall together.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Before the appointment of these ambassadors, Mr. President was the sole marketer of Nigeria. Now that we have them posted to different countries, would that reduce the frequency of the foreign trips of Mr. President?
That would be a nice one. I think res ipso facto, it should. That is given the assumption that Mr. President has only solely been going out there to market the country. But I feel, and let's call a spade since we are all adults in the room, that it was like a one stone thrown into the marketplace that will hit Jos and hit others. I feel Mr. President also needed to take very good care of his health. And so while taking care of his health, he's also thinking of how to take care of
the country's health.
The
health of Nigeria.
I believe ordinarily, in my honest opinion, he should cut down on the big entourage that follows Mr. President to all nooks and crannies. I also believe that for a thinking government, it's also a way to try your best to cut down, the jet or whatever it is, the ETA codes, that these career diplomats will be there on the ground and be able to give you feedback. I also believe, whether you call it lobbying or no lobbying, something that happened lately between United States of America and here, somebody on the ground to speak the Nigerian story by far better than Mr. President, his vice, or any of his ministers jetting out of Nigeria to go represent. So, ordinarily, he should. That is the grand expectation. That is where I believe you and I, and you started it by your very good question, me, by my response, and the vast majority of Nigerians should now put Mr. President's foot on the fire. If this has happened, let us know, my point is, if you speak the truth, it may be bitter initially, but speak the truth. And let's really understand. Nigerians are quite understanding.
Right.
All what we just want to see is you show good example. You are not taking things, and taking us for granted. And if push becomes a shove, and you need to take very good care of your health, which we have not adequately provided for the way we should provide for it at home. Please, we don't want Mr. President dead. We don't want our governors dead. Please do less of that. Let us know if you are going on true vacation, while you are going on vacation. But please, for goodness sake, a honest advice from me, don't tell us that you are going for a holiday. Don't tell us when you are going to be back. You are not very specific when you are going to be back, and then the next thing we see is that you are meeting, foreign. It may be a good intention that you have, but you see the perception is not good. Now that we have career and non-career ambassadors, please let them earn their stripes. Allow them to do the work, and please stay a little bit more at home to look at our domestic issues and to also listen very carefully to what oppositions are saying, what the people are complaining about, and cut your coat according to cloth so that we can continue to support you.
As we close this conversation this morning, now you've mentioned this in passing, but let's quickly also end on this note. The ambassadors, Mr. President, has also asked the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to start their induction ceremony, and they should, be going to their respective countries, any moment from now. What would you, as part of their duties, they are to influence trade, influence international partnerships, sell the country, like Mr. President will also do. So as they move into their countries, how would you want them to intensify all of these things that have been spelled out for either career or non-career ambassadors?
A nice one, except that I have a little comma before I get to a full stop.
Okay.
Yes, begin the induction should happen, all right? I also heard from the statement that was made by government that they still have to send in their
letters of credence to those
for
countries.
clearance.
Yes.
I would have thought
that all of that should have been done.
That maybe that's not the procedure. All of that should have been done. But having said all that, it's incumbent on me to know that from the date I was announced, and that all things being equal, there won't be any K-leg. I begin to put my structure in place. I begin to put my low-hanging fruits in place. Nigeria dances, Nigerian music, irrespective of which country you are, our culture, our mores, our art and culture, just have that at the back of your mind. And then begin to say these doors can be opened. Of course, they are going to take back your country is not safe, you know, and all that. Yes, our country, like many other countries, have not been as safe as we expect. But not only is it that we are working on that, people from your jurisdiction, I'm talking to, whichever country I've been posted to, are doing well. They are coming in. We have something. Have you heard of something called Dirty December? Have you heard of something called, I'll just mention a couple of things, and then I say, I also want to learn.
They should market Nigeria.
This is where I am. This is where I think I should be. And I'm going to be told a number of things that will be very difficult for me to cross in there. I'm going to be very open. My communication is going to be integrated. As I am not able to come around you, if it is Jibola that can come through, that can come round to speak the right language to you, I pull non-stop to make sure that I do what I need to do. So, whatever challenges you are having, will always be challenges. They tell you your country is not safe, you don't have electricity. Yes, I know. We don't have, there were times when in this same country, and that's the truth, we didn't have electricity, but Nigeria was generating so much wealth within a conglomerate that I worked with that people were now asking, how did you do it? You don't have it, but there are ways that you can manage it that people will now begin to look at you. We have the sun, we have the sunshine, we have the flora, we have the fauna. Come and you are going to be happy. Is that not what Ghana seems to be doing? Okay. Even though Ghana is a geographical entity that is, compared to Nigeria. Well, that's exactly what Lagos State seems to be doing. And Lagos State will also get their acts right. All right. It is not an excuse. Lay them out. Look at your SWOT. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Look at those threats. Okay? And look at the opportunities. Press more for the opportunities and then run your goals. Okay. and run it well. Okay. It is possible. It is capable. It is also in the position based on the question that Ajibola asked earlier, for me to tie this, to also say, I'm not going to ask anybody to, to disrespect the Minister for Foreign Affairs or Mr. President. But it may not necessarily be a press issue, but I will say what you are asking other people to do, I can not only is it that I can do it by far better. Okay. And I'll hold my head very high and be able to say that, say truth to power. Right. And we all get there safely.
We need to leave this conversation here this morning. Thank you so much, Akin Fatunde, MD, CEO, Chronicler Associate, also communications consultant. Thank you so much for always finding time to be with us on the program.
Always a pleasure.
We'll leave it here this morning. We'll take a quick break. When we return, the conversation again, we'll be celebrating women this morning. And of course, it will be the duty of Adebimpe and Joy to do that on the Lagos Conversation.